Am I the butthole for kicking out my cousin and his wife after they berated me for working instead of watching their kids? I, female 36, took in my cousin, male 37, and his wife and 2 children 6 and 3. A month ago. My cousin lived in a rented apartment for 4 months but couldn't continue paying because of his financial issues. He said he wanted to go live with his parents but they live far away and he can't move away from work. I decided to let them move in until he could figure something out with his work. Also, my aunt asked me, so I found it rude to say no. I'm a pediatrician. My schedule is busy. I work in ICU. It's draining both physically and emotionally. Sometimes I can't even find time for lunch. I work long day shifts / evening shifts / and night shifts, depends on my schedule. My cousin's kids are very active. I have many items that they broke, including a lamp I received as a gift. They even broke my late husband's vase. I told them this can't happen again. My cousin didn't replace the stuff, complaining about his situation. My place got filthy and uncomfortable. I started spending more time covering shifts to get away from all that mess. The thing is, whenever my cousin and his wife go out, they'd ask me to stay home and watch the kids. I only did it twice. I told them I have other commitments and responsibilities. I already said I'm not available to babysit. My cousin threw a fit. I suggested getting a babysitter, but he said he won't ever let me pay. 2 days ago, he and his wife went out and told me to watch the kids for 2 hours. I had a shift I needed to go to on time. The 2 hours passed. I got ready to go to work. I kept calling them but line was busy. I had no choice but leave the kids with my neighbor, mom 40s, and sent my cousin a text to let him know. At 11 p.m. I turned my phone on and found missed calls and one text from his wife berating me for leaving her kids with a stranger and called me irresponsible and neglectful. I was stunned. My cousin was mad, saying they couldn't count me with the kids for 2 hours. Insulted my job and said I must be leaving kids to die in the ICU, ignoring that he didn't bother answer my call. I lost it. I got home, argued with them. Told them they were out of line and that they needed to leave. He tried to get me to talk to my aunt on the phone to get me to change my mind, but I had it, especially since they said that I might be doing the same, neglecting with my patients. I argued with my aunt and hung up on her. They left, but my cousin didn't stop guilting me, trying to convince me to take them back. AITA? NTA, these are some r/choosing beggars type people. You are doing them a favor. They can't even appreciate that. You told them that you can't watch the kids, which isn't your job anyway, and they still have the audacity to be mad at you. Kick them out. Because no matter if you fix this, nothing will be enough for them. They will still find something bigger to get mad at you for down the line. Even after letting them stay in your own place. Edit. I completely missed over the fact that you don't like being home because it's messy. If only there were people living there rent-free that could chores as some sort of thank you instead of just breaking more furniture and not paying for it. Reddit link. Not to mention, if original poster lives in certain areas, pretty soon they might become protected by tenant protection laws. This. Instead of wondering if she's the butthole, original poster needs to make it a priority to kick them out to protect herself. That's less of a concern when she's living in the same household. Evictions have looser rules in those cases and are generally much easier to do. Sigh, you're arguing from your local laws, which very much may be different where original poster lives. Don't do this. There are parts of the world where they already have tenants' rights, right now. Even as family. Even in the same household. Are you under the impression that the laws everywhere are the same as where you live? Because they can be starkly different from one city to another, let alone one country to another. It's a pretty fair hop that damn near everywhere that lodgers have fewer protections than tenants, as they are living in someone else's home rather than renting a home from someone else. Literal squatters with no connection to the house have gotten homeowners thrown out of their own houses for months or years while the courts sorted it out. This isn't something you want to test. No, they didn't. Squatters live in unoccupied property. They are in occupied property, as in they are actively living there. They didn't let their craphead family live in one of their rental properties for free. They are in their own house they actively live in. Neither of your comments hit the point. The police do not know the difference between squatters, and legal renters. It's a he said she said and will be referred to the courts to decide on the evidence. Courts are very backed up right now. Yes, but in those scenarios the squatters had been living in abandoned properties for years, giving them a claim for adverse possession. Completely different scenario to family members lodging with you in the home you live in. That being said, original poster certainly needs to be wary of what kinds of rights lodgers have in her jurisdiction, and ensure that she follows proper protocol. Here in NYC, any person who has stayed in an apartment for 30 days has all the legal rights of a tenant, and you have to go through the court with a formal eviction procedure to get them out. It takes months and there's basically no way to recoup any money you've lost from all the time they spent squatting there not paying rent. It doesn't matter if the person is your roommate's boyfriend, your sister, or your friend from college who promised to just sleep on the couch for 2 weeks until they got a job. Since apartments are so expensive and difficult to get, at least pre-pandemic, people would routinely just refuse to leave, causing all sorts of legal problems. Most landlords have clauses in the lease that no guest can stay longer than 14 days just to avoid all the drama. Great, but that's not what's happening here. Again, the rules are almost universally different when the tenant and landlord are living in the same space, especially with no written agreement. Yes, they still have to go through an eviction process, but the tenant generally has much fewer protections and are much easier to evict than usual in this situation. That's what I'm talking about, tenants and landlords living in the same space with no written agreements. It's a very difficult and expensive process still, depending on where you live. Tenant protection laws. When one lives with the homeowner, in many places they are considered a lodger and not a tenant. Lodgers often have a lot less rights than tenants. Just an FYI. Healthcare worker here. Pediatrics and ICU? I know that has got to be rough. And then to come home, to your safe place, and have it be in disarray and upheaval? To hell with that, man, and the damage it would do to your mental health. Stand your ground. You are wholeheartedly not the butthole in my book. Also North Carolina, no contact, aunt and cousin. And if any other family want to come at you, NC. You don't need people using you. And they broke your late husband's vase, FFS. An irreplaceable sentimental piece of your life. If anyone is still on your there after you let them stay after that, you do not need them in your life. I don't know if this is common or not, but I worked in pediatrics as well, fellow healthcare coworker, and there was some sort of unspoken assumption that, since I worked with kids, I would love to babysit and people would be annoyed if I said no. When I was reading this, it gave me the same feeling. Original poster is a pediatrician, so must love kids, which means some sort of implied babysitting kind of thing? We may love working with kids, but there's no way someone may assume we are free babysitters because of our jobs. Also, NTA. I could have said that I would have kicked them out sooner, but I understand op. We try to forgive and forget for the sake of peace. As soon as they questioned her competence, then yeah, there's no forgive and forget. They crossed a line. There are a lot of posts on here about people who are broke and need to move in with someone, act terribly and get kicked out. Are these posts always this common? There may be an influx because of the pandemic. But still it's always almost the same scenario. Ungrateful, filthy, loud, demanding family, more and more expectations, and the family member who guilts original poster when they have enough. There was a post the other day where the original poster had their brother and Sil living with them, and told them they planned on selling their house. Sil got pregnant, they wanted to basically take over their house and not let original poster sell it. I think it's due to the pandemic, too. There needs to be a sticky post with guidelines for all the kind folk taking in ungrateful people. I was a pretty poor kid. Didn't have a real mattress for years, but we would always help our family and move them in. More than once they've stolen or broken something, not helped out, done drugs, or expected us to pay their way. It's unfortunately common. If someone let me live with them because I was broke, I would be super nice and help out. Damn. Right? It sounds like the bare minimum, trying to make yourself as useful and as unobtrusive as possible. Yes, and even to be nice and helpful for completely selfish reasons, to ensure that they keep letting you stay. It's hard to wrap my head around how people can move in, trash the place, not contribute, and then respond in shock when the homeowner wants them to get out. Silly you, being a decent human being. Wait, are we siblings? When I would actually get a shared room, I was quickly displaced by family friends who needed it. Then my live-in servant status increased to include these freeloaders. They never helped with bills, cleaned, or even be quiet when I was trying to sleep, for school the next day. My son has let more people than I can count move in with him and act horrible, and also refuse to pay what they promised. They always sound so convincing and appreciative until they get moved in, and then they can't even go a week without acting like monsters. Is his name Cousin Eddie? I want you to get yourself something real nice, Clark. Time to send the bill to the aunt for replacement of missing items, cleaning fees, etc. Petty, sure, but gets the point across. NTA absolutely. Original poster has gone past reasonable accommodation. There's no pleasing these people. They want you to be their slave. As someone who has had to crash on a family member's couch for a month, I cannot imagine being so disrespectful to my host. I was cleaning, walking their dogs, and generally trying to help out in any way as a thank you. Not the butthole times 100. They were taking advantage of Op's generosity and needed to get the boot. It would have only gotten worse. Not the butthole. One of the first things that kind of shocked me when I moved away from home for college was that not everyone was raised with the exact same standards of courtesy. I had roommates that thought it was okay to be loud at all hours, roommates who never cleaned, so on and so forth. But how is it that there are people in this world who don't know not to bite the hand that feeds them? Agreed. And I can't but ask two pertinent questions. How can they afford to go out to eat when they're saving money to get their own place? And why are they going out in the middle of a global pandemic? Especially when they live with a pediatrician who spends time in the ICU? For your first question, it doesn't mean that they can't spend money ever. They are the buttholes, and I'm saving up to move out, only 20 though, so it's more okay, and I still allow 10 to 20% of my paycheck for fun money. But they shouldn't be spending fun money if they're claiming they can't afford to replace Op's items that they broke. You are right, they shouldn't, but it happens. Kind of like loaning someone money and before they pay you back they spend new money they get on fun things for themselves, non-essential. For example, borrowing $500 to repair their car, and after time passes without you being paid back, they go skiing on Colorado. Same principle. Exactly this. It's one thing to allocate a certain percent of funds to fun when you have your, and your family's, basic needs covered. It is not okay to accept free rent, not replace what's broken, and not hire a babysitter and then go out and spend money. But we're dealing with buttholes here. So, they're probably liars, too. NTA, Op. But like you said, you're 20 and moving out for the first time, presumably. These are grown adults who moved in with a relative out of desperation. It just feels disrespectful on both fronts to go out, from a financial and a health perspective. I haven't gone out to eat, or had any kind of date night with my wife or had a real break from parenting, in over 10 months, so I know it's possible to do it. And I'm not living with a pediatrician and relying on their generosity. No, I'm sorry, if you are in this sort of dire situation you need to start making sacrifices. That means no effing fun until you figure your crap out. I had a roommate who owed a crap ton in back rent and kept giving me a sob story about how he didn't have the money to pay. Then I looked at his Instagram and saw he just took a vacation to Disneyland. If you don't have money for rent, you don't have money to treat yourself to crap. Basic needs first. True, but then they need to take their kids with them to spend that fun money or hire a sitter. I definitely had fun while saving money to buy my house, but also didn't burden anyone at the same time. It doesn't say they went out to eat, it says they went out. I go out to buy groceries, get petrol, run errands, etc. These people are entitled as heck. An original poster is not the butthole for getting rid of them, but going out doesn't mean automatically spending fun money they don't have. That's possible, but I'm not sure why they would be gone for hours, and ignoring their phone, and need a babysitter when going to run errands. When my kids were little, we didn't get a babysitter to go to the grocery store, we saved that luxury for a night out. You read the description of their children and don't know why they stayed out and ignored the phone? These people did a bad job of raising their own and now keep fobbing them off on Op. Going out and ignoring the phone sounds pretty typical, but it doesn't automatically follow that they'd spend money they don't have. I don't like adding things to be mad about once someone has been deemed the butthole, in this case, Definitely them, there's no point, they're bad enough exactly as they are. NTA. Not your kids, not their house, not your problem. Yep. Pretty simple. If your cousin brings this up again, ask him if he would be fine if his kid was in the ICU, but no doctor was there to treat him because they were busy babysitting for tardy parents. No kidding. It's supposed to be the place she goes to de-stress from work, not put up with being a parent to 3 children. It makes sense why they can't pay for rent if they think that people can go to work whenever they feel like it. I feel like I've had exhausting jobs, but I do not know how people working in medical have an outside life. They are some impressive people and deserve to relax. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.